Hello and welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm Orlena Valero, the host of the program, and so happy you've joined us today. I have with me today a first-time guest, and his name is Daniel Santiago, and he's a motivational speaker and author, and we're going to be speaking on youth topics, and one of them is apathy and complacency among our youth, and how can direction and discipline be instilled into the lives of the youth. Welcome, Daniel. So happy to have you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today.
Well, I'm honored that I can meet you, and I know when you came through these doors, I thought, yeah, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. I checked out your website and went, great. So I like what you're doing and helping to encourage the youth and get them into the right direction, and even give support to parents and teachers and educators out there that need to know, how do you handle these kids?
Absolutely.
So we're going to be talking, but before we get into our topics, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I had a rough childhood growing up. That's really what started me really getting passionate about giving back to youth. I grew up in Southern California by a single mom. I didn't know my dad until I was 22 years old. I had multiple stepfathers that were very abusive. I grew up in the LA area where there was a lot of gangs and violence and drugs, and all that contributed to me really trying to make my life better. I came up in with a single mom salary, and it was hard. I grew up in poverty, and every time I went to go get something to eat, and roaches would come out of my cereal box, and I had to think to myself, what am I going to do to make my life better? And so, not having that fatherly influence and having a mother who worked so hard to take care of me, I really had to figure life out on my own. And that's really where my life started to really, progress, in the fact that it was hard. It was hard. I really had no friends. I'd moved around, I'd moved. By the time I was in 5th grade, I had moved 8 times.
Wow. And
that was because of multiple domestic issues, and really just trying to make some consistency in my life was really the cause. And so I moved from LA to Virginia when I was in 8th grade. I spent 6 months in West Virginia. So I moved from LA to the hills of West Virginia, and I stuck out like a sore thumb, and eventually made it to Virginia, where I went to high school. And from that point, made some really bad decisions because of being really naive and not having that direction or support system in my life. And through that, I moved back to California, where I went to school in Hollywood.
You felt your roots were.
I really felt like that was home for me. And when you're young, it's hard because you really don't feel like you have much decision power, nor the resources to go and take care of yourself. And so that was my life. And so when I moved back to LA from Virginia, I had gotten involved with the lifestyle, the entertainment lifestyle. I worked at the House of Blues on Sunset. I was around celebrities. I was around, entertainers and musicians every single night. And so I got to experience firsthand all the people who I admired and who really influenced me over my upbringing. And through that process, my life started to change, and everything, I like to say, the castle that I had built in the sand in Santa Monica got washed away. Literally everything kind of tumbled, and that's really my story that I go out and I share with teens and youth, and how I thought I was one person, but there was another plan for my life. And there was something greater for me that I had to discover and accept. And once I accepted it, then I had to continue to walk into that understanding of who I was and who I was created to be.
wow, that is great. What a story. And then look at where you're at now. You're motivating youth. You're giving them direction. You're seriously speaking positive, good principles, godly principles, good principles into their life. And I know you go out throughout schools and assemblies and probably different conferences.
Yeah, and that's really, it's a significance of my life. I wrote a book called Success Matters, and one of the things that I've really found is that when I go to talk to school and I go to talk to youth, whether that's high schools, middle schools, or colleges, there's there's this paradigm out there that says that my value, my self-worth is based on the material possessions that I have, not necessarily who I am as an individual. And the ironic thing is that all of those students, every time I speak, they come up to me and they say, man, you inspired me to go and reach my dreams, because I had something deep within myself, but I didn't necessarily know how to go get it. But thank you for coming and inspiring me in that regard.